Perfect! Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are not filming a movie commentary, we are filming a book video. I'm still doing movie commentaries. I think I fell into a little rut, a little breaking point where, you know, I didn't have time and I kind of just lost my little spark that I have for YouTube. But I still love it, and when I'm not watching movie commentaries or Dance Moms, I'm usually watching book videos because I love reading. I have been on a huge reading kick these past few months, and I went crazy and bought a bunch of books. Not all the books I've bought over the past few months. These are the books that I've bought in the past, like, month or so? I would say, like, yeah, month or so. So, I thought I would do a little haul to show you guys that I have a book buying problem. No, seriously, it's really bad. So I figured let's just get into it. Maybe I'll start doing book videos along with movie commentaries. We don't know. I have a lot of time before my next class. So the first book I already read, and I picked it up at the Amazon bookstore. I actually bought like 4 other books, but they weren't for me, they were for my roommate and best friend Natalie. I picked up Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I read romance kind of. I will read romance here and there. I really enjoy fiction books that have a romance subplot as opposed to just romance books. Out of all like the TikTok romance books, this one sounded the most interesting to me. Archer's Voice is basically where these two people, this girl kind of has a really traumatic experience and she decides to just go on a road trip on her own to this like little beach town almost. And there's this guy named Archer who is just kind of like the outcast of the town. He never speaks. Nobody knows why he doesn't speak. They all think he's deaf or, you know, just a little dumb, which is it's so stupid. So she's the only one that takes a chance on him because they can communicate through sign language. And yeah, it was a really cool story, and they kind of bond over their trauma, but I found it really cringy at times. I read it. I didn't really like it all that much. I would give it like a 2.5 to like 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but anyway, the rest of them I haven't read except for one that I'm currently reading, so I got Archer's Voice. Next, I had come to Barnes & Noble's, seen this book, thought it was interesting, but it was too expensive because it was a new release. Then I got some credit, so then I bought this one. This is Notes on an Execution by Danya Kakofka. She wrote Girl in Snow, which I haven't read, but that's what she's most known for. I'm currently reading this. I'm over halfway through. Notes on an Execution is told from multiple perspectives. It's about a man who's on death row for committing like serial murder, essentially, and he's about to die in 8 hours or 12 hours, I think, but you read from his perspective as if it's your own perspective, but then they switch perspectives to all the women in his life. So his mother who abandoned him, his ex-wife's twin sister who basically got like a full-on perspective of him, and then the detective that was on his case. So you just get to see this case and his personality from all the women in his life, which is really cool. Yeah, I can't really say my thoughts on it yet because I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, so I got Notes on an Execution. So the same day that I went to go get that credit, I had like a few dollars left over in my credit, but no books were like super cheap, except for this one, which was Nicholas Sparks' A Walk to Remember. I love this movie. If you haven't seen A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks, watch it. Watch it now. Watch it now. It's so good. It's very typical, like, really quiet girl, cool guy. Like, she like, honestly, her character's really boring in the movie, but I love this story so much, so just go watch the movie. I'm gonna read the back because I don't really know how to explain it, but every April when the wind smells of both the sea and lilacs, Landon Carter remembers 1958, his last year at Beaufort High. Landon had dated a girl or two and even once swore that he'd been in love. Certainly the last person he thought he'd fall for was Jamie Sullivan, the shy, almost ethereal daughter of the town's Baptist minister. Jamie, who is destined to show him the depths of the human heart and the joy and pain of living. It's so cute. I know it sounds so stupid, but it's so cute. And I figured why not read the book at some point if I'm in a reading slump or something like that. One of my goals this year is to read an entire 10-book series, which is Karen Slaughter's Will Trent series, because I haven't really ever read a series before because I usually get sick of the characters. I think the only series that I've kind of read is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder one, but I didn't finish the third book because I got really tired of reading it. Even though 5 stars, phenomenal. I'm currently on the third book of Karen Slaughter's Will Trent series, which is Undone. I always partially listen and partially read these books just because this one especially is really lengthy and I get really intimidated by lengthy books. I grew up watching Law & Order Special Victims Unit, and the Will Trent series is basically just Law & Order in a book, but it follows this one detective who has dyslexia, and in those times having dyslexia was like a big deal. But first book is Triptych, 5 stars, so good. Second book was Fractured, 4.5, so good. I'm currently on Undone. It's pretty good so far, but I'm not as invested as I was in the first 2, but I'm hoping to kind of get this one finished. I'm kind of parallel reading this one with other books. But yeah, so that's one of my goals this year, and I'm on the 3rd one out of the 10. Next, I got one of the other days I went to Barnes & Noble's. For those of you who do not know, which I don't know if you... Actually, I don't know if I've ever said this on my channel. My favorite movie of all time is The Shawshank Redemption. It's a phenomenal movie. It is the best movie of all time. And it is actually originally a Stephen King book called Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption. And it's really small. It's like 105 pages, about. So if I'm ever in a reading slump, I figured I could read this, although I already know the story, and I've read like 10 pages of it, just to see how close it related to the movie, and it's so close. Like the monologue that Red says, favorite movie of all time, hopefully the book is going to be phenomenal. And I love this cover so much. Look at how, like, once you've seen the movie, this cover makes so much sense, and it's so phenomenal. Next is a book I'm also kind of currently reading, but I'm kind of parallel reading it. I was in a really bad reading slump, and then Archer's Voice kind of got me out of that reading slump. But so I've kind of been parallel reading recently, but it is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. My boyfriend told me to read this because he read this in middle school, which I'm so surprised by because, like, look at how many words are on the page. But it's this book, basically it's about the Olympic runner Louis Zamperini and how he won the Olympics, went to become a World War II fighter. His plane crashed, got stranded in the middle of the ocean, that kind of stuff, and it's a biography on him and his life. It ended up becoming a movie, which if I like the book, I'll definitely go and watch the movie. But I'm about 80 pages in? I don't know, 64 pages in, which is saying a lot because there's so many words on each page. And I really like it so far. It's a really good story. Next one is kind of embarrassing. I don't know. I'm kind of embarrassed by it. It is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and this is going to be probably the most controversial thing I've ever said, but I wasn't crazy about it. I was not crazy about it. I did cry, but I wasn't crazy about it. I gave it like 3 stars. Which is so crazy because even though everyone has differing views on each book, that's the one book that I've never heard anyone say anything bad about. Ever. But this book, I kind of... The plot is kind of stupid, but I was kind of intrigued by it just because I was like, I would read that. But so I thought about getting the audiobook, but the audiobook, the narrator wasn't that great from what I heard in the sample. And I had the credit, so I was like, why not just pick this up? Honestly, the plot is kind of stupid. Not gonna lie, the plot is kind of dumb. I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically like they try to make this new dating app sort of thing, or like dating, almost like matchmaker.com or match.com, but it's based off of DNA to show your compatibility, and the single mom who's just like not interested in dating gets like this beautiful compatibility score. Turns out that it's the owner that she matched with. But if I was ever in a reading slump, I know that these like romance books would be really quick to get me out of them. So yeah, I got this just in case I get into a reading slump. The last book that I got at Barnes & Noble's was Finley Donovan Knocks Them Dead, and I spent a hefty penny on this book, let me just say. A hefty freaking penny. Because I read the first book when it first came out called Finley Donovan is Killing It. And I also have that one in hardcover because these are such new releases that they didn't get them in paperback. That one just got in paperback. This one is brand new. Came out last month, I think. So the Finley Donovan series, if I remember correctly, it's like she's basically the single mom, and her ex cheated on her with their real estate agent. Her ex is a scumbag and he's a piece of shit and nobody likes him. Well, I don't like him. And basically she's a not horror, but like she's a thriller writer, and she had a meeting with her agent one day at a Panera Bread, and somebody overheard her talking, and they thought that she was a hit woman. So she basically gets hired as a hit woman, and she has to take it because it's enough money to where she can like win her custody battle. And Russian mafia gets involved. There's like murders. It's so good. So I got this as a sequel. I gave Finley Donovan is Killing It like a 4 stars. And it was really good, really intriguing, just wasn't my favorite book of all time. So then I really wanted to get the second one, so I got the second one. Next, I went to Target, and Target has been killing their books recently. Like, their book game has been phenomenal. Because they just added a new fiction section, and it's so good, because usually it's always just been like the stupid non-fictions or like the Christian books and all that stuff. But they just got a really good fiction section. And I picked up Anatomy by Sana Maris? Something like that. This was a part of Reese Witherspoon's book club, and this really sounded good. It's basically about, I'm going to read the description. Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Royal Edinburgh Anatomist Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beechman's lecture for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance might be more helpful than she first thought, because Hazel has made a deal with Dr. Beecham, not Beechman. If she can pass the medical examination on her own, he will allow her to continue her medical career. Without official lessons, though, Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need corpses to study. Luckily, she's made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living. But Jack has his own problems. Strange men have been seen skulking around cemeteries. His friends are disappearing off the streets, and the dreaded Roman fever, which wiped out thousands a few years ago, is back with a vengeance. Nobody important cares until Hazel. Now Hazel and Jack must work together to uncover the secrets buried not just in unmarked graves, but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. So I thought it sounded interesting. Kind of a romance, kind of a, not thriller, but kind of a thriller. So, and I also, this cover is beautiful. I judge this book by this cover so hard. And finally, the last 3 books were books that I picked up at a used bookstore where I donated my books to basically get kind of in-store credit almost. I do love going to Barnes & Nobles, but at the end of the day, I really love supporting local bookstores. I wish Colorado had a half-price books, because that's what I always went to growing up, and like to get my summer reading books, but they don't, which is so stupid. But the first book that I got was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, or Jillian, I think it's Gillian Flynn. She wrote Gone Girl, and there was another one, but I don't remember what it's called. But she wrote Gone Girl, which is her biggest one. I actually heard about this book through the love of my life, Brianna Kwan. I'm gonna read what this is about, because I actually don't really know. I just saw it and was like, okay, I'm gonna grab it. But it's also a really thin read. It's only like maybe 250 pages. Fresh from a brief stay at a psych hospital, Camille Preaker's first assignment at her second-rate daily paper takes her reluctantly back to her hometown to cover the murders of 2 preteen girls. As she works to uncover the truth, Camille finds herself identifying with the young victims a bit too strongly. Dogged by her own demons, Camille will have to confront what happened to her years before if she wants to survive this homecoming. So, there we go! This next book I just saw on the shelf, and I really loved the cover. Look at how cute it is. It's so cute. And it sounded kind of like an easy read, but like kind of cute still. Julian Jessup, an eccentric, lonely artist, believes that most people aren't really honest with one another, but what if they were? And so he writes in a plain green journal the truth about his own life and leaves it in his local cafe. It's run by the tidy and efficient Monica, who furtively adds her own entry and leaves the book in the coffee bar across the street. Before long, others who discover the green notebook add the truths about their own deepest selves, and soon find each other in the real life at Monica Cafe. It sounds so cute. Like, I don't know if it's because they just described it as a little green journal or like what, but it sounds adorable, and I am very excited to read this. Lastly, this is a book I never thought I would read, because I find a lot of the TikTok books interesting, but I don't usually like have a desire to read them unless they sound really good. I felt like I had known so much about this book that I was like, I don't know if I'll ever read it. But they had a bunch of copies at this used bookstore, so I was like, maybe this is a sign. So I picked up The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's such a pretty cover. I watched Steph Warren and Jack Edwards like comparing book covers, USA and England, and I'm sorry, but the US version of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is so much better than the UK version, not gonna lie. But I am very excited to read this. I don't know, I feel like it's gonna transport me back to a time that I love, and I'm very excited to read this if I get in a reading slump. Yeah. So these are all the books in my book haul. There are a ton. I hope you guys don't mind me switching up the content a little bit. I promise I'll be back with a movie commentary soon. They just take a lot of time. They take a lot of time, but I hope you guys like these in the meantime because I love reading and I love books and I want to share it so bad. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on all my social medias, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.